What's up, everybody? My name is Hugo Seneviva, and welcome to Digital Artist React. We are back. We're back like we never left. I was looking at my YouTube, and I think the last video that I did was like a year ago. And this year, a lot of things happened on my personal life, on my professional life. But I'm not here to make any excuses. I'm here to tell you that we are back, and to be honest, we're back because I really miss doing this. I love teaching. I don't know if you know my work from Brazil, from creative class, since like 10 years ago, or even a little longer. And then I had my podcast in Portuguese. I don't know if Spotify now translates the audio to English, but if you go there and look, Dodge and Burn podcast. I started this podcast in Brazil, was one of the first ones that was talking about the world of digital art, bringing artists, and always seeking knowledge, always trying to study from people that I admire, from learning, from feedback that I would get from people, and also giving feedback. So this channel, it's about that. For you that is coming right now, I know there's a bunch of you guys that already know this, and I'm sorry, but I have to reiterate since we're starting a new journey here. So for you that are a new listener, so this is what we are about. I usually dig through Behance. I'm a deep researcher. I love to go to Behance and other places and trying to find new artists, find new techniques, find new creative approaches, find new tools. Like we have AI that is coming like a rocket and it's shaking the industry, and there's a lot of talk and everything, but I want to bring a safe space that we can just talk about art in general, digital art in general. Digital art in general. It doesn't matter if it's CGI, it doesn't matter if it's photography, if it's illustration, if it's AI. I want to explore. I want to study. This is going to be like our digital lab where every week I bring you some artists that I'm looking, that I admire their work. It's also cool to see their progression. And I also bring some cool jobs, some cool projects that inspired me on this time. And at last, we will always grab a project on Behance, analyze, and trying to put myself, if I was, for example, the senior or the art director or any person that would give them feedback, okay? This is not to make anybody feel bad about their work, because I know there is many factors that goes into every single job you do, including clients and everything, so I understand. So I'm not here. If I use your project for something, don't worry. I'm not saying you're a bad artist. I'm just putting my look on it. I'm just studying. I'm just sharing knowledge. This is what this is about. All right? So let's start the show. All right, so let's start to have fun. I just wanted to show you, this is the main page of my YouTube channel for you that is coming here right now. This is my latest videos. All the videos are gonna be here. So you can come here, you already have a library of different stuff. But mostly what we're gonna do, it's what I'm gonna do in this video, okay? And sometimes we change, depending on how much we're having fun and different things that come. For example, if I see any AI news that is important, or anything that is relevant to our markets, not just retouching, but digital art in general, I'll bring it here so we can have a chat. Okay? If you want to follow me on Instagram, this is my Instagram here. All the links are on my YouTube description. And if you want to check it out, my work is hugoseneviva.art. So let's start the show, because this stuff, it's not about me. It's about you guys. So to start, I selected some projects to talk about, and For example, this is a project, it's called Gili Galax LL6, which I believe is this card that we're seeing here in the screen by Mads Wong. I don't know why, but I recently fall in love with Japanese photographers. Like, they always bring something cool. They seem to be super creative, and I don't say just Japanese, but like from China, Asian photographers in general. Like, there is a bunch that I follow, and I really admire their taste, their approach to color. So if you love colors like me, check this person work. It's pretty cool. Okay, so now let's look at this project shot by shot, and I believe this is a lounge, right? So we have this beautiful car on the beach, and we have a girl interacting with the car, and she's around the car. She has her partner. They are on this beautiful beach. You can see how, because having a wet surface, the reflections of the car are cool. The whole floor kind of works like a mirror. So I don't know if you saw, like, on when people do photo shoots on sand deserts there are, or like on snow, like depending on the intensity and the color of the light, everything becomes like a giant globe around the product. So it's pretty cool to see. Then we see another shot here, another shot here, another shot here. Very cool. Seems like an electric car. Another shot here, and we got to the end. All right, so let's go back to the first shot and kind of analyze this from like a art director, creative director kind of point, right? Love the shot. I love the colors. I love the angle that the car is. Maybe I would turn the car a little bit more to almost like a 3/4 to show a little bit more of the other headlight here. But I like it. I like it. I like that we have this sparks out of focus on the foreground, which brings almost like a magical element to the scene. You can see that it's kind of like a sunset on this shot. Like, it's starting to see some purples. The sun, it's like almost down. But one thing that kind of bothered me, and if I was directing this, I would do, would be this hand here. I would try to desaturate a little bit. Just a little bit. Well, by how much, I don't know. I would test like 10 points and see. I don't want it to look fake, because when you light it up something like this in real life, it gets really bright. But I just feel like this part is taking a little bit too much attention of the whole scene. And let me see the rest. Yeah, maybe having the windows with a little more purple would be nice. Yeah, but I like overall. I like how soft the color change goes from left to right. I like it. I like it. And maybe this is a little weird to me, that this is so shiny here and this is not as much, but it's kind of hard for me to tell. I'm just brainstorming here live with you guys. So on this shot, the sun is already down, but not down, but like far away, and it kind of works like a soft box. So you see soft shadows, but it's still a little lighting. You see how that is affecting, for example, the areas that are white. So for example, for this shot, what I would do, like for example, I love this light leak here, a little purple here. I think it's cool. I would bring a little more reflection to the window, even if it's subtle, because the clouds around the person, they are so strong and they're such a strong element on the shot itself that I think a little bit in there, even if when you capture it didn't show, I would add that just to see how it would look. And for example, you see that here she's holding the same thing that she's holding here. So maybe on this one, the flame was closer to her hand, and that's why you have this being so red. But it doesn't bother me here. You can see a little bit on her face. I love how this is a trick that most photographers do, or retouchers, when they do shots of cars. They use the brake lights, the headlights, every sort of light that the car has to work as a rim light on the person. And I think that's a pretty cool effect. As far as color goes, I think everything looks good. I think there's a little bit too much blue. I would just, on this section here, I would take a little bit of the blue, so it's more like this tone, maybe a tiny bit of cyan too. And the shoes for me are a little bit of a problem. I work with apparel and shoes for a long time, been freelancing with Nike for a long time, so I would clean at least this part here, and this is just me being annoying, so I'm sorry for that. But for example, look on the white shorts. I would love for this to be closer to this in color value. It doesn't have to be super white like this. I would find a middle, like I would make this a little more purple, magenta, a little bit, just a tiny bit. And this I would desaturate, so these two elements, the shoe and the shorts, would be more cohesive. Okay, let me see if I see anything else. No, I think you're good. This one, same thing. Like looking at this now, I think they must have some sort of lighting to give her this magenta vibes. You can see again how the light of the, I don't know how to say that in English, but the fire thing here is reacting with her skin. I like the sky again. This was an amazing day, but I would desaturate a little bit of this part here, desaturate a little bit here, just to be a little more subtle. I understand that sometimes the clients wants, no, I want the car to pop, I want your eye to come directly to here and directly to here, but that would be my personal opinion. And maybe take a little bit of the red of her skin to be a little more like this. But it's all these comments that I'm saying here, I would have to test and see if it would work, if it would take away from the image anything. But I like it. I like this contrast that you have the sky bright here, this bright element, and then you have the transition, and then you have the car in kind of the middle of the scene as far as distance goes. I love that you can see these little mountains back there in the sea. I love the whole ground that almost reflects like a mirror, like I said in the other shot. This one is I think it's a little earlier, so I like it. I have one small problem with this one. I just think the car could be turned more, or maybe show more of the back of the car. You know what I mean? I don't know. I this is my personal opinion, like when the shot of the car is like straight sides and you have this whole dynamic of the scene, like they're not running in a straight line, they're running in a diagonal. This whole dynamic shot could be much better if the angle of the car was different. I like the sky. Well, the sky we already talked about, right? The sky is beautiful. We already know the sky is gonna look beautiful in every shot. Again, color skin consistency. On this one, seems like their skin is a little more to the yellow. And some things that bother me is like look of her skin tone here on her hand and look at how her skin tone is on her face. So I'll try to balance that the same way that I said about the shoes and the shorts on the other shot. So maybe add a little bit of yellow here. Take a little bit of the blue here. Maybe clean just this part of the shoe. But for me, the main thing on this one, it's the car angle. I will try to turn the back of the car a little more diagonal, just because I feel like the shot would look much better. This is kind of a close-up showing the car. She's kind of out of focus, face on the sky, earlier in the day. Nice. It kind of, like I tell this in all my videos, like every time you have a car shoot, you want to tell a story. Like, oh, the couple was traveling to the beach with their electric car and then decided, and they were having fun on that day. And sometimes the outfits, everything is thought out. That's what I'm trying to say. So this is an important shot because it brings her proximity to the car. On this one particularly, love the angle that the model is, how she has her eye closed and kind of feeling the moment. Love how the angle of the car is. That's what I was kind of talking about on this shot here, but not to that extreme. But I think you can understand what I'm saying. I like the skin. The skin tone here doesn't bother me. There's a little bit too much purple here that I would be curious, because I'm just seeing the final product, so I don't know, and there's no BTS behind the scenes to show what was the initial shot. But for example, look at the reflection of the clouds. That is the same thing that I was saying to put on this shot here, even if it's subtle, but just to be there, just to help tie everything together. And oh, they are using different car signs, huh? So I don't know what is that about, but I would try to be consistent. But hey, if the client wants this way, it is what it is. This one, same vibe as this one, but nicer. She's a little bit more out of focus, closer to the camera. The car is the focus of the situation. She's there to just tell the story. I like how the car is positioned. Again, I wanted to turn the car to the left just a little bit more, but I like this because we don't lose the headlight here. So I think it's pretty cool. And I love this kind of reflection here that is created naturally. This is another shot, super cool. Again, my problem is with the car. This one, it almost seems like the car was posting CG there. Is this car CG all the way? Doesn't look like it. But on this photo in particular, the car looks like it's placed there, like it's from a different shot. I don't see those nice reflections here. I don't see much of a we have a little bit of the reflection of the car, But I feel that like the car could be harmonized with the scene in a better way, and I don't like the angle. I would rather the car be this way. You could see both tail lights. I feel like that would look amazing. And skin tones here, okay, maybe a little too yellow here, but they want to show that the sun is also here. So maybe a tiny bit of yellow here, gradient, super soft. And maybe here, put a tiny gradient of magenta, just to kind of relate back to like this time. But way less, okay? I maybe also would dial back the color of the trees, because for me, looking this way here, I feel like the trees are too saturated, for my opinion. I would keep them kind of on this tone here that you see, because if I do that, the sky, the car, and the people would pop more. This is an internal shot, beautiful. Love the reflection on the roof. Love the sun hitting her face. The interior of the car is clean. It has a nice natural, I think it's natural flare here. It's nice. It's beautiful. It has the sweater brings another color to contrast with because the interior is kind of brownish red. So if they bring this kind of green cyan sweater, it helps. It's complementary colors. It helps tells the story, and it makes it more beautiful. And I love the kind of contrast that you see by the base, like how this was cropped. This is super nice shot. This is also a little later. I don't have much notes on this. Maybe take a little bit off the magenta on her, but now the sun is so low that kind of makes sense, because you look at everything and everything kind of ties together. All right, so this was Geely Galaxy L6 by Mads Wong. Again, go follow. Really nice jobs. You can see that always pushing the boundaries, doing cool shit. So congratulations. I hope to see more stuff from you. Now let's look at this one by Julia Johnson. If I'm not wrong, she is a photographer from here, from LA. Yes. And if you like badges and Behance, she has a lot. Like a lot. Because people on the retouching community, they're like, oh, how many Behance flags you have, blah blah blah. That kind of helps your reputation on the community. So you can see that she has a really good reputation, and she has been doing a lot of cool, colorful work for a long time with famous people, mostly people. Don't see a lot of product here. This is Reese Witherspoon. A lot of famous people, a lot of different scenarios, cool approaches. Like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is her approaching product. This is more like a fine art. So she is an amazing, well-rounded color master photographer. So for her, I chose this last one that I think she just released for the Target in-store holiday 2025. If you don't know, Target's a huge chain in America. They sell everything, and they're super popular supermarket, and their color is red. So you're gonna notice that on this project, red is the theme, and also red's the theme of Christmas, which makes everything looks better. I love how the retouching is done on this. Why? because it's not overly done. I believe she shot all these people on these backgrounds because I don't see any flaws on the hairs, which is something that usually some people, they try to swap the background, they don't take their time to incorporate to do the proper mask on the hair, and you can kind of see it if you have a trained eye. On this one, I feel like everything flows. She's shooting with a lens that has a fall off, so you can see that it's losing focus from here, but here it's super sharp, and then it loses focus again. Love how you can see the reflection on the iris of the eye of the kid. It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. It brings youth, it brings a nice vibe, and it's such a good shot. Such a good close-up shot. This one, again, look at the hair. Okay, we can talk about, but I would clean this hair and this flyaway here and there. I get it. I would too. I maybe would clean this one. I maybe would clean this one. But we have to understand that sometimes the intention is to look real and to be retouched, but keeping elements that makes more humanized, because now we have AI fucking everywhere, and I can kind of like, when I see AI person, like, oh, okay, this is AI, blah blah blah. So I value a lot this kind of work that Julia does, because it's also beautiful. It's so well shot. The colors are nice. The red, it's popping, but it's also variating a little bit. Maybe I would dial back this. No, because I see this one is on the target red. So maybe I would bring a little bit of this red here. But to be honest, and maybe clean some little things. But this is awesome. This is beautiful. Again, I think it was shot against the background, so it works perfectly. The lighting, it's nice. It's not too strong. It's soft. The eyes capture your attention. Like, look at this one. It's like dreamy. Look at this one. Boom. Dreamy. Look at this one. Like, it's like a natural smile. Look how her hair flow. And now they are starting to add this kind of flakes. That you can buy fake snow, and you can have those fake snow machines on the set that brings a cool effect, because she's shooting with this lens, so there are some that are in focus, some that are out of focus, so it feels like she is surrounded by the snow, which I think it's awesome, and it's real, it's there. It's like, there's not a lot of, like, for me as a retoucher, it's more refining. It's already beautiful, because my friend Pepe from Recon Paris, shout out to you, because he always said, like, you can elevate the image 2 steps. More than that, you start overdoing and you start showing some flaws. So with a great shot like that, great images like that, the work of the retoucher is much easier, because you just have to be more surgical and know little moves that you're gonna do so the image can show as its best. Again, I think I would adjust the color of the beanie, or this. For me, they would have to match. Let's put it like that. I think you could darken up a little bit here. I would clean this little thing that was close to the teeth. This one too, and this one on the nose. But I get it. If the idea was to be natural, I understand. I'm just giving you my point of view. Another angle of the kid, again dreamy, super nice. Was she wearing this on the first shot? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. So green and red, we all know Christmas, red, the green here too. Super nice. Beautiful. I love it. This is so nice. Look at that. The feeling. It's like you're feeling Christmas in the image. Like that Christmas vibe, or that if you're a kid, you remember like you're waiting for your presents and everything. So amazing. I love that the kids lay down on the snow. That, for example, the colors again work. You can see that you don't have that much variation this way on the hue of the red. But what I would try on this one is a little bit of the flying snow. Maybe some around here, just to see how it looks. Just to see if it would look better or if it would work better this way. You know, our job as a retoucher is always to try. Always try new things. Always test. Because sometimes you have a thought and you think it's gonna work and it doesn't. And then you try again, then try again. So you have to be resilient. And on this point, I would, for example, if I was retouching this for Julia, I would connect and say, hey Julia, I know you asked me to do this image this way, but I would like to suggest to you this too. Because sometimes the client don't ask for your opinion, but I believe as a creative retoucher and as a problem solver, I have to bring to you solutions that maybe you didn't see. So I can add value to your project, but it doesn't mean that I want to direct you. You know what I mean? It's like a collaboration. Some people are more open to this. Some people are not as much. This one, super nice. It's cute, you know? I think his hands are a little too big, but I think it's just the lens of the camera that is giving that effect. I would make this part of the gift a little bit more target red, but I like the variation. Maybe just a tiny bit more saturated here. And I love another thing that I forgot to tell you guys. I love the teeth. You know they're kids. You know, it brings you that youth, that imperfection. You know that they just lost their first teeth and they're getting their final teeth for I don't know if it's the correct to say, so I'm sorry for that. Sometimes my English tricks me, and this is my first video back, so we're getting back on the groove. But look at this, for example, this part here on the right, I think is a little bit too overexposed. I would love to see, I can see a little bit of the texture that you have here, but I would try to maybe go on camera raw and just bring it down a little bit so I could see a little bit of the texture that I see here. Of course, not as much because this is in the shadow part of the image. But I would bring it down and maybe bring it down on his face too, to feel a little more like this tone, or even a little more like this. But this is all super small tweaks, you know, like this is already amazing. Like it's beautiful. Like the same thing here, red, the green, the fluffiness of the outfit, like how she's working the lighting. Like this is, for example, this is not, of course the person has darker skin, but this is way more well balanced and I love it. Again, the eyes are like, they're like hypnotic. It's so beautiful that it's like, wow. I remember when I saw this project, I'm like, I'm gonna save this for the videos because this is gonna be awesome. I don't know if this is a natural mark of hers. This bothers me a little bit. Maybe tone down this one a little bit. But it depends. Sometimes, for example, we work with Nike and the model has some tattoos and hey, you're not allowed to remove, you should not touch them. We want them to look as they look because we picked them for a reason. I would maybe fix the the box here, the gift box. But to be honest, I'm being very picky here because this again is already amazing. Maybe bring a little bit here. Maybe darken a little bit here. But again, the contrast here on the background is enough, so I don't think that would be necessary. Another straight shot of the kid, of the first kid, now with the mouth closed. Love the color of her lips too. It's really nice. It's like it's just cute. It brings you the Christmas. Nice. Love this shot too. Super nice. Maybe I would have because they want to show that this is in movement. Maybe I think so because this is going this way. So maybe I would have some of these snowflakes here also here to just give a little, because I feel like they go from here and then they stop and then they go back. So I'll try to fill that part up. Again, beautiful shot. Same comments. Maybe some cleaning. I try to keep the nose, like the sides of the mouth or anything clean. But hey, if they want it this way, I understand. I'm just giving you my 2 cents here. And that's it for this project. You should follow Julia Johnson. She is amazing. She has a lot of good work. She'll probably be back in the show because I have her portfolio saved for reference and I want to study her more and see what cool things that she brings, because this project, it was amazing, and congratulations. All right, and the last project that we're gonna show today is SOS Campaign by Omar Ehab. He is a photographer that I follow for a long time now. He is super creative. He's always pushing the boundaries too of color, different compositions. You can see that he's very creative. He works with big clients and he does a lot of cool stuff. So if I were you, he's from Dubai, I would definitely follow him and check it out his work because his work is awesome. I think the first project that I saw that caught my attention on his work, I think it was, let me see. I think it was this one. No, it was not this one. I don't remember, not to be honest, guys. Sorry. But I followed this guy, has been a while, and I love his approach to color, from creative to creativity, and the way that he shoots everything. And I separate this project for us to kind of break down and go into the lab like we go with all the other projects, the other 2 that we did today. So this one, for me, the best shot of is a 3 photo series. This one for me is the best shot. Why? Colors. You have the sun directly on his face. You can see that it's kind of a sunset. You have the warm, too cold kind of happening. The fact that the sky window on the car can show you that transition, it's awesome. It's like he's going somewhere. He looks happy. You don't see his full face, but you see the reflection here, which looks awesome. And I love this green that they added here. I think it was, to me, when I saw, it was kind of unexpected, but I thought it was really cool, really creative. And you're gonna notice, like, the color is always something that I'm curious about, that I like to study that I like to see why people use this approach. But like looking here, it's like the car has like a LED kind of thing. Some new cars, newer cars, especially the electric ones, they kind of have LEDs all around. So I don't know if this is a feature. I am assuming that this could be a feature. And I don't have many notes on this image, to be honest. I would maybe clean this transition a little more. Trying to see something else. But I like it. Maybe some sort of thing on the glass of the car, but because he's in motion, that would not appear as much as this reflection here, for example. But besides that, amazing, beautiful work. Love it. Gives you that feeling, and it's very attractive. This one, see, that's why I was like, okay, so do you have a LED? Because you have the green here and the green here. So it's like, was the LED off or was that added? If that, because I tried to see, for example, this, then now it's red, and it was not red here. I don't know if it's a different car. Maybe it's oh, it is a different car. Wait, yeah, it's a different car. Okay, it's a different car. Because the shape of the thing here is different. Okay, so it's a different car. Got it. So that's cool. I love the mountains. Again, the transition. I would try to have a little bit of this purple here on here. But it seems like it's earlier in the day. So that makes more sense. Yeah, I think so. Because the sun is not as strong on his face. This seems lower here. This seems higher here. Okay. So maybe this was earlier in the day. I would desaturate this piece. This doesn't have to pop. I would kind of make it like this red here. The only thing that kind of bothers me is his face, to be honest. I would try to swipe the face for a more like closed mouth, smile, and comparing to the other one, all the other elements I like. Maybe I would incorporate, no. And just to let you know, like sometimes I select this project and I don't like make a lot of notes or anything, because I like to do it kind of like live, even if this is not live. But I feel like if I was revising this and if I was working with this person, I would see this for the first time. So I like to give the reaction in that way because I feel like it's more real. I feel like his arm here, it's a little too faded, like a little washed out comparing to the rest of the body. I don't know why, but I would try to correct that. At least a little bit more contrast because it seems a little washed out. But my problem with this one is the face. I feel like the face could be a little more pleasing or a little more neutral like this one, which looks amazing. Last shot. This is the shot that I have some notes on Photoshop. So usually when I do the notes on Photoshop, I take a screenshot of Behance. My idea in the future is for some of you listeners that want portfolio, like a review on one of your projects, you want my feedback, you would send a link to me with the high-res image, any BTS, any other things that you want to include on a link, I would download, bring it here in high resolution so we could analyze everything how it was sent to the client. Because we all know Behance can only support a certain amount of quality, and then I take a screenshot of Behance, so you lose a lot of quality. Okay, so now let's go into Photoshop. Let me position here. Okay, first glance, beautiful shot. Love the sky. Love the sky. Think it's magical. It goes back to the first image. You know, it's like he's driving to the city and now he finally arrived there. And now you see the fleet. So that's why the cars were different. That's why the interior of the car was different. So super cool, beautiful. I believe there are some points here that I want to talk, but again, always trying to study, explore, and try to put myself in the place if I was working with this person or not. Okay? This is just for a study purpose. I'm a fan of this person. Okay? You're gonna see me saying this a lot, but I just don't want people to think like I am critiquing them on purpose or anything. Like, I'm having fun. If you want to do that with my images, feel free. You know, there's no rules. So pretty much on this image here, I believe there is a real shot, which is the city, and you have a 3D shot, which is the cars. So if I do an inverted selection here and do a color, so this is the 3D shot, of course, with all this mask properly. I just did quickly with my brush. And this is the scene of the city. So I believe the challenge that the retoucher that worked on this had was to make it look like it's a photograph. So let's check it out. Let me see my notes here. Okay. First thing that kind of made me wonder is like, okay, I see how the green on here is reacting to the sun, and also how everything else is reacting to the sun, because the sun is lower, which means that we're almost getting at the end of the day. You can see that you have more purple here. So because if it was early in the morning, it would be more like cyan and yellow. So you see that is more like a sunset kind of vibe. You can see the intensity of the sun, that the sun is right here. See the intensity of the sun on the buildings. Let me just use a brush. So it's like, the sun is right here, right? So you can see that these elements here, how they're hitting the buildings, how it's hitting the water, how it's hitting the asphalt, how it's hitting the green part here. And the fact that this part is a little too yellow, because I'm assuming this is metal, right? So if it's metal, you would have to be somewhat closer to, for example, this part would look more like this part. So a little darker on the highlights and a little more yellow to match. Because you can see there's not a clear transition here. That's why I think this shot worked for them. Maybe even would warp this a little more. But it makes sense. You know, it gives you a sense of distance that... But maybe, let me just try one thing here now. I just thought about this now, so don't judge me. Maybe if this was And I'm just looking at the bridge, for example. Here. And pull this. Now I need to pull this part here. Maybe like this, because then this, and of course we had to fix the whole scene, but like I like the way that this kind of works with this besides this one, but I don't know, or maybe a little less. I think I went too far. Yeah, something like this. Super small, but it would give a little bit of a curve that would make a little more sense. But again, we're being very picky here. Very picky. The work is amazing. Okay, so let's go back. Sometimes when people work with cars or lights, they tend to add some flares like this. In this case, I particularly don't like this flare because it's much brighter than the sun. And this one too. I would have this kind of on the same intensity of the sun, but maybe with no flare, or like a small flare, more like this one here, but even a little dimmer, like this, for example. I like this one. And the same thing happens on the car. Here, 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 and here. Because for me, it doesn't make a lot of sense that this part, it's getting like the angles and the intensity of the sun doesn't give me that vibe that it should be there. But again, this is my personal opinion. Another thing that I notice is that there's a lot of purple on this area of the asphalt. I would do a little less. I'd be like, how much less? Okay, let's see. Like this, for example, but of course only affecting the asphalt. It's just a tiny adjustments, but it helps me to connect to the other side of the asphalt. That another thing that bothers me on this scene, guys, is the light source, because I have the sun right here, right? And I feel like they're treating the shadows in a way that is not correct according to the position of the sun. What I think it happened is that they're using these two posts here as a light source. But even then doesn't make sense too, because the direction that the shadows are going compare, for example, the closest one that we have is this one here. But it should be more to the left, right? This should be more, like this should not be here. This should not be here, because this points me that this light source is here. So that's why I was thinking that, I don't know if when they did the render, maybe they use this and this as a light source. But even then, it wouldn't make sense to be this extreme, this way. And because the sun is so far away, the shadows should be much softer. I think this is another point that is very critical for this scene, because the render, like the lighting here, it's okay, it's working, but the position of the shadows, it's something that is bothering me a lot on this. Because first of all, I don't think they will be this sharp with the sun that far. And I don't think that the posts here would have enough potency on the light itself to make a sharper shadow like this. Because a sharper shadow that fades means that the lighting is more intense. So that's another point that I would like to add to this discussion that we're having. Pretty much what I'm doing here is trying to base my 3D render of the photography that I had and trying to combine them and kind of fool you, the observer, to believe it's all one shot. I believe some points could be darker. The more yellow here is the same thing about the metal. I feel like let's do a curve here and let's do a test. And I'm doing this in a gross way, so don't judge me for the quality of my masking or anything. It's just to get my point across. Maybe something like this. Because for me, I just feel like the front, the areas that are selecting red here, they're too bright for the lighting that you have on the scene. But then comes the client point. Sometimes the client say, hey, I need the front to be bright and blah, 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 and you have to do it. So I totally understand, but if it was my call, I would darken up, because let's check, for example, the contrast. How the contrast is working on this scene without it and with. I think it would be better to be darker on these areas that I pointed. But I would correct this point here, where I put dark point to the pole, because when I go black and white, this is almost my darkest point of the scene together with this. So I would make this a little brighter, not too much. I think as far as saturation, everything is harmonized, everything is good, the colors are nice. You can see the color comparison here. Everything flows. Maybe because we are in a sunset environment, I would test and see if it would be applicable to do an apply image. I don't know if you guys use this tool. I use this a lot. You can use this on any adjustment layer. You pretty much just, let's go back. You just create a curve, select the mask, image, apply image, boom. Oh, but there's other ways to do this, Hugo. I get it. I like this way because I can come here and I can edit my mask to be exactly how I want it. That's all. I know people do some plugins, they do passes and other stuff. I like to do by hand. As long as the result's good, nobody cares. Trust me. So another suggestion I would have on this is maybe add some yellow and maybe a little red. on the highlights of the cars, because I feel like in some of them, like for example, this one here is nice, but it's like I would have some yellow here, some intensifying this a little more. Intensifying, that's too much. Intensifying this a little more. Subtle, super subtle. And now you look, for example, with the other adjustments that I suggested, I feel like it fits a little better. Of course, I didn't adjust this part here, which, let me see if I can adjust using, yeah, I can probably just do another mask here, and I'll isolate everything just quickly, just so we can see what it's possible. And now I would bring it down and add a little bit of yellow. You see how already starts to be, oh, that's where I mess up. I was like, the effect's not working. Yeah, but not here on the car. This is just for this area here. Maybe even less. I don't think we need that much. Let me see if a little red would look good. Yeah, maybe a little red. But I think it ties everything together in a better way. But again, I love this series. I love this guy work, and no shape or form I'm here to tell you what to do, because I have enough experience to know that with clients and jobs, there's many different conditions. But if you compare a before and after, I feel like this feels, the dark in the front of the cars makes more sense, and a little less saturation on the purple. Let me see if I can pull even more. No, that's too much. It was 27. No, that's too much. It has to be just a little less. But, you know, awesome image. Awesome image. Okay, and let's test. Let's do one more test before we call it the day. Let me do a mask like this, apply image, and then I'm gonna use my levels because I just want a little bit of the sky. And then what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna add a little bit more yellow, little bit more red. Let's see how that is affecting. Cool. And now I come here and I do a gradient, a radial gradient, like this. Can you guys see the difference? Let me put 0 and then move this way. I think it looks cool. But I probably would dial back the yellow, because even when you do this mask, you can come here and then you're like, okay, I don't want my sun to be affect as much for the yellow that I just added. I want it more around here. But it's super subtle. So if you see with all the adjustments that I did, this is what we would get. From this to this. Then it kind of makes sense with the rest of the scene. Maybe wash it up this front a little bit, like with levels here. But the idea is that as far as you are from the sun, the darker you're getting. I'm just looking at the black points of all the image itself. That's why I was thinking that maybe if I made my blacks a little washed out, they would work better. But this is like detail. So maybe like subtle, something super subtle. This is still too much. 20 or 10%, something like minimal. You see the difference. But that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this first episode, and go follow Omar. His work, it's amazing. And I want to thank you guys for staying this late with me, and follow me on Instagram. If you want to send me your work to be revised here in the channel, I'll leave my email and all the instructions on the post when I post this video, and I'll see you guys next week.